Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. JOK and Denzel both obviously questionable moving forward, but can the Browns defense sustain their level of play if those two guys are out for a significant portion of time? And are we going to see Denzel again? I think they're all fair questions.
I don't think they can keep up that level of play without both of them. What about you guys?
I don't either. No, I mean, those are two of the three biggest pieces on this defense.
And Miles hasn't looked like Miles most of the
And Miles has not been Miles.
Not
I'm afraid we're going to find out that, like, when they lose that 7th or maybe 8th game, and I know inside information, you probably know more about this than I do, just from a distance looking from the outside, I would think he's going to say, okay, I got to have whatever surgeries I have to have.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk the entirety of my career playing in games that absolutely definitively mean nothing.
Right.
We keep saying that the season is over. It is not.
Mathematically,
of course it's not.
Right.
You're 2-6. Half of the hay is in the barn. You would, to have any chance at all, you would likely have to win 8 of your last 9 games. I think once you get to 8 losses, a 9-8 could sneak in. I just don't see it this year in this division the way things
their
are
odds of going 8-1 or better are probably 1% or less.
I don't see it happening. So
but you never know until you're eliminated.
Right. And now with JOK and Denzel most likely out for at least 1 and possibly more, I'm afraid that with that next loss or 2, Miles is going to shut it down, pay attention to his feet, get whatever surgeries that he's needed, and then we're already talking about maybe next year. But I don't see them performing the way they have the last couple of weeks with those two pieces. And a bigger part to this is we're getting into a territory now with Denzel. I don't know if this is definitively true. Maybe you guys have heard something or read something. I know that I've heard doctors in the past say that the brain and the injuries to the brain are somewhat like ankle sprains. You know how when you sprain your ankle that first time, it's like the seal's broken.
Yeah.
And you're much more likely to sprain it again and again and again, and then you're known as a guy that has weak ankles and he's prone to the ankle sprains. So I've been told, and in fact, Bernie, I once asked Bernie, because Bernie estimates he's had over 50 concussions.
Sure.
He said back in my day it was called getting your bell rung.
Yeah, sure.
And he said that happened to me all the time. We also had a code of sequence that you would try to remember on numbers on how many fingers I'm holding up so I could keep playing. That was the old concussion test, guys.
I remember Al Toon having a concussion and coming back in the second quarter.
Second quarter, here I am, I'm concussed. Now, we've come a long way since then, but Bernie and I've had others in the medical field tell me the same thing, that first concussion sort of breaks the seal, and then you're more prone to have a second one. And they also said that they come in shorter increments in time between them.
Well, he's had 4 in about 2 years.
And that is, like, we're getting into an area, and I know Denzel was asked this question after his last one, and he kind of shucked it off and said, look, I'm a football player. I'm going to come back. I'm going to play. At some point, guys like Denzel and guys like Tua are going to have to do a serious examination as to how important football is in the grand scheme of their lifetime health.
But we say that, and it makes sense. But they're 20-something-year-old football players.
I'm wondering if ultimately that decision isn't made by someone other than him. The league has to clear the player. They have to clear the player.
Yeah, I can't. You heard Tua's press conference.
I heard
he was defiant.
Listen, these guys are warriors. That's what they've known their whole life, and their financial security is tied to that.
And there's no. I was actually reading about this yesterday because everybody talks about 6 concussions.
Yeah.
Like, is there a difference if you've had 8 or you've had 4? Well, so I did some research.
Yes.
Just reading some articles about it, and the prevailing belief is that yes, the more concussions you have, the worse it is for you.
Yes.
However, they do admit that there's no set number. It's not like you hit number 6 and
everybody's different.
And the severity of them is different as well.
What's that?
The severity.
That's the other thing they talk about. It's not just how many, it's how severe they are.
To your question, which was the right one to research, because I've done this as well, and I remember talking to the woman who runs the Boston University Brain Trauma Center. Yeah. She's on the forefront, cutting edge of all of this research. We interviewed her once. This was when concussions were first becoming an issue, and I interviewed her once on Cold Pizza, and that was the line of questioning.
Yeah.
Look, do we know definitively that the second and the third and the fourth are any more damaging long term than the first?
Right.
And what she was supposing at the time, and I don't know, this was over 10 years ago. I don't know if there's subsequently been research that disproves this. But her theory at the time was the enzyme that is present in those that have died with CTE. The theory was that enzyme is perhaps actually the healing component to the brain injury. And the more that it's there, so in other words, the more the brain is concussed, the more
it has to heal.
It is likely that this enzyme is present in volume.
Right.
And so now the tricky thing is, to your point, everybody's different.
Yeah.
And the only way you know that CTE is there is through an autopsy.
That's right.
There's yet no test that can detect it in the living. They're working hard on that, and that will change the game. When that happens, that will change the game.
Some people, I look at it like this, man. I ain't never made no money in no NFL. You talk about Tyvis, right? Tyvis still has dreams of playing football. Like, not dreams like, hey, I'm going to do this one day. Like almost nightmares. Like, not nightmares, but thinking about, that's what you think about. To this day, I ain't played a snap of football in 20 years, and I still dream about football games. For these people, they're wired different. Like, those people, that is what they were put on the planet to do. And so they're not going to willfully say, I'm not going to play. That's just like saying, like,
some guys have.
Some
very rare.
Most guys
very rare. You know what? The guys that do become headline news.
Right.
Because there's only been a handful of guys
Andrew
in
Luck,
their prime that stepped forward and said, this isn't for me.
And Andrew Luck's really the only huge name,
Big
right?
Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
I mean, people.
Barry Sanders.
Was that because of concussions?
Oh, not concussions. I just meant walking away from the
Calvin
game.
Johnson retired young also.
But some of those people don't have the financial means to just be like, okay, I'm done. Now, quarterbacks obviously is a little different.
Yeah.
But if you're a linebacker or a guy that's playing fullback or tight end, you running down on kickoff, good luck telling that dude, hey, go ahead and stop your money. And you got 2 young kids. Nah, they ain't doing that. They'll say, I'll worry about that when they get there. I'll worry about that when I'm done playing.
Denzel's not going to stop. He's going to come back. He's proven that time and time again. I mean, I don't know how much good it actually is, but a guardian cap should be mandatory at this point for whatever help it is. I think for any player come back from concussion,
how could it ultimately help, though? The brain is moving inside your head. I mean,
do you guys remember Sean Springs?
Yeah.
Noted quarterback for Ohio State, had a brilliant NFL career as well. Wonderful kid. I call him a kid because when I met him at Ohio State, he was. He's been involved with, it might be Rydell, he's been involved with a helmet manufacturer for years, and they're trying to develop the perfect helmet. If you notice, a lot of the helmets now have the cutouts. The purpose for that pad is the same for the purpose of the cutout. They're trying to get something else to absorb the inertia, the energy of the collision. So those cutouts, if they move a fraction of an inch, that's helping it, because the concussion occurs when the brain slams against the skull.
Right.
So if you have anything else to cushion the power of that, then that absorbs the energy of the blow and not the brain.
All right.
So there are a lot of things that they're doing. I've had guys tell me that are in that field, if you think that our helmet protocol isn't working, let's just go ahead and put the old solid shells back on players and see what happens.
Yeah.
So
it's better, right?
I'm wondering.
And maybe at least
It is
less
better.
severe concussions.
And what I would do, I to your point, I would mandate as the league, if you're concussed twice in a 12-month span, you're playing the next 12 months at least with
the guardian cap.
With the guardian cap.
Let's just make everybody
It just
wear 'em.
it might come to that, Bull.
It may come
You
to
said
that.
you're wondering what?
I'm wondering, totally different level, but where I'm going with this is a different level, not you. When you practice, did you have headaches after practice?
Bro, like, I used to think that maybe I used to have headaches every single day.
See, there you go. And listen, I'm not trying to compare
It's not
eighth grade football to the pros, but I make my son wear a guardian cap in football practice. I bought one for him.
Is he
I
the
make him wear it.
minority?
What's that?
Is he the minority?
Oh, there's like 2 of them. There's 2 or 3 of them that wear it. That's it.
Well,
in
good
8th grade.
move out of you.
But I asked AJ, I said, do you notice a difference? And he said, yeah, I don't have headaches anymore. He said, I used to have headaches after practice all the time, and I don't have headaches anymore. Again, it's 8th grade. It's not NFL. But
still collisions,
it's
though.
still collisions. It's still helmet to helmet. It's still.
I'm stunned that they haven't mandated for high school football yet. That they all
I
do.
wonder if it's coming.
I feel like it is.
I found it really revealing that he told me I don't have headaches anymore after practice. That's why I was wondering if you did.
I remember, like, it was almost back in the day, like they not brainwashed, but you just figured that that's what it was. Like
that's the price you pay.
Like I remember not playing football till I was 14 or whatever, and when I started playing, I'm like, man, and my dad would be like, listen, good luck, because now you playing, your body ain't never gonna be feeling great like it used to. And I just thought like, okay, well, you get headaches and it's part of the game. And then, you never really think about it. And then people start talking about concussions, you're like, I mean, I wonder how many of those did I have? Because you never really thought about it. And, like, you just don't, like, Dustin, I talk about Dustin. Dustin talks about it all the time. He's a great person to talk to it about it, like, because you start to see, when I had my neck injury, I thought it was the concussion stuff. Like, because I used to get these headaches, and then found out that, I didn't get screwed by CTE. It was just the vertebrae in my neck that got completely trashed. But, some of the players like Dustin, I remember him saying, like, yeah, man, I don't feel right. And I'm like, what you mean you don't feel right? He said, it just I don't know how to explain it. And at that time, we didn't know nothing about CTE or whatever the concussion game is. And so, my heart goes out to Denzel Ward. He's going to keep playing. I think, to your point, Jason, I think the league is going to have to start mandating certain things.
Because they're not going to do it on their own.
They're not going to just wake up and say, hey, let me get that little ugly little hat thing.
We were joking about with Tyvus. Tyvus like, man, that looks ridiculous. I ain't wearing that. And that's like look good, feel good, right? That's a real thing.
But if everybody had them on, it's like almost like school clothes and school uniforms. It's almost like school uniforms. If everybody's wearing them, it is what it is.
Yeah. In this one case, I don't think the league has plenty of responsibility in most areas. This is about the players' union, not about the league. The players' union.
I think they're hand in hand on this one, Bull.
Right, but if the league went to the players' union and said, hey, we want to make these mandatory, the players' union will fight against it because the players don't want it.
They would have to bargain it.
Yeah, it would have to be negotiated.
And that's crazy.
But this is one of those things where the parent is the league and the child is the player. And the child's role is to be, or the parent's role in that relationship is to protect the child from hurting himself.
Here's how it can
You're
work,
the league, and you've told your son you're going to wear it.
But the league has shown time and time again they don't care about the players.
This is a safety issue, though. So for once, the league would be on the right side of this.
Yes. Because they would say, listen, we have a concussion settlement. The money is available for people with CTE. If you do not wear this protection, you're going to forfeit your eligibility and being able to get some of that money if it happens.
And who's the president of the Player Association? J.C. Treader. And what's he on all the time? Player safety, player safety, player safety, player safety.
Yeah.
They've dialed back OTAs. They've dialed back hitting on the field. They've dialed all this stuff back. Why not?
And many of them wear them in practice.
All the time.
Yeah. So my point to that is, I think anecdotally, if you go around and ask these players, so tell me about the collisions with the pads on compared to the hard shell helmet. Now, look, I know they're not hitting as viciously in practice as they are in the games, but if there's a scintilla of 1% of a chance that these would reduce concussions and improve the long-range mental health of every player in the league, you put them on.
Yeah.
Just like a seatbelt. I've worn a seatbelt my whole life. I've needed it 3 times. Glad I had it on.
Yeah.
Now, the 10,000 times that I put it on and didn't need it, it just becomes habit. You just live with it.
Well,
it is what it is.
It's insane to me, this is in a similar vein, that in Ohio, I believe, you do not have to wear a helmet when you're on a motorcycle.
You do not.
That's correct.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy to me.
Yep.
It is crazy to me. Even crazier, when I rode a motorcycle in states where you didn't have to have a helmet on, I didn't wear one.
Yeah.
And every time I lived in a state where you had one, there was a helmet law, I wore it. And I didn't care.
Yeah.
I would have much rather been without it because I'm a knucklehead.
Jay, you live a dangerous life, man.
Hey, I spent time in the hospital when I was 16 from a terrible dirt bike accident. And you'd think that I would have learned. And the doctor told me the foot peg ended up going in my ribs and fracturing all my ribs. He said, if it was up to your temple, you're dead.
Wow.
You're dead. And so you'd think me hearing that, I'd be like, I'm never getting on a motorcycle again without a helmet.
So you jump out of planes, ride dirt bikes.
I live on the edge, G-Bush.
Pitch when you're 65, 30, 70 years old.
Live on the edge, brother.
God forbid he has one piece of shrimp.
This is
One piece of shrimp, any seafood.
Any seafood.
Wow.
Yeah.